Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Sammy. Everyone is busy grinding away with 3.27 Keepers of the Flame League, and there's really not much to really talk about, but I did want to highlight the most recent announcement from Grinding Gear Games as far as what they're working on. Now, I'm sure they're busy getting zero point 0.4 aligned for Path of Exile 2, but I have to say, I found this very intriguing, this post on November 7th regarding them admitting what they're working on with 3.27. Like I said, Keepers of the Flame, I think one probably won't argue the fact that a lot of people are enjoying it. There's a lot of things that the new mechanics in 3.27 are providing players, and the windfall of loot with this league is just incredible. And also, I think a lot of people are enjoying actually just the new mechanic. I kind of thought that they were going to kind of just let the league go, and because people are enjoying it. Now, if you don't agree with me, get in the comments section and let me know. But I thought overall pretty much everyone was happy. People are just enjoying the fact that there is consistency in the drops in the leagues. This 4-month cadence, getting a new league every 2 months between POE 1 and POE 2, is providing the POE player base, I think, some continuity in the scheduling, and people can plan for it. And I also have to say, I think Path of Exile has captured part of the POE 2 player base. Not all, but some of it. So it is very positive to me what is happening right now in the POE community. I think they're slowly starting to become a gelling between the two games. I think there has been some players that never played Path of Exile, that tried Path of Exile 2, liked it, and now are trying Path of Exile 1. Here's the announcement that they made. And look, Grinding Gear Games has always been known to be receptive to feedback. I don't think anyone can argue that, at least from my perspective, from what I've seen. They always listen. Now, whether or not they act on it, we can debate that. They do have a vision, and I think they try to stick to the core of that vision. But I do think that they do listen to the player base, and I think that's a good thing. But this is phenomenal stuff right here. So let's read what they said. It's almost been a week since the launch of Keepers of Flame. Our team continues to monitor community feedback. Over the past few days, we've deployed several hotfixes and a patch to address some of the issue players have been experiencing. In this new post, we like to outline what we're currently working on. We are assessing the rewards from breach monsters in map areas with an eye towards making the league mechanic encounters more rewarding directly, and thus more worth the time to engage with. And again, I already think the loot is plentiful in this league, and the fact that some people have kind of complained about the breach rewards in the map areas, and the fact that they're listening and going to try to improve it, it's just remarkable. We're aware of the feedback regarding hive encounters, with players frustrated by having to spend too much time destroying walls before the encounter. We're investigating an option to allow a large number of walls to be destroyed at the start of the encounter. Now, this is a pain point. Absolutely. You got to get rid of all the walls so the mobs just come to you. You can kill them quicker. There's also that strategy of going over all the little red dots that are in the area. There's all these ways to improve the efficiency of this hive encounter. And the fact that, personally, I didn't have an issue with it. But again, clearly there's been enough pushback on the amount of walls that are in these hive encounters, and they're going to look at a way for us to destroy them quicker at the start of the encounter. A great example of how they're listening to the player feedback. We have another batch of full-born uniques, which didn't quite make it into launch, and will be going into the next restart patch. So we're going to get some more uniques that didn't make the launch. And this highlights the fact how their strategy has changed. For those of you that don't remember, back in the day, and this is where we had that long, long time between the POE league launch. I correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think it was over a year. Or correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember off the top of my head right now, but it was around there. And the reason why is their strategy was always to try to get all the content in the league, and they would delay leagues because of the content they wanted to put in the league. Well, that strategy changed where they are not effing around with the league launches. They're going to maintain this cadence every 2 months between POE 1 POE 2. And if they don't get the content that they initially wanted to get into the league, they're just going to delay that content. And here's a prime example where they had a bunch of uniques planned for 3.27. It didn't get done. It wasn't completed in time for the launch of 3.27. They didn't delay the league. They delayed the league. They delayed the introduction of these new uniques. Looks like they're ready, and they're going to be in the next restart patch. So again, completely agree with this new methodology that Grinding Gear Games has. Don't delay the launches. Just postpone when you're introducing the content into it, which is, I think, really going to give us that consistency that as a player base, we're all looking for in the games we want to play. And outside of the breach specific changes, we are aware of the feedback from players that late endgame farming strategies are currently lacking in diversity and progression. I was talking about this earlier. We're putting together a list of adjustments to address this, with an emphasis on making currently underperforming strategies more competitive. We are targeting next week for the release of these changes. A large amount of changes to this area are planned for 3.28. Now, for those of you that don't know, in Path of Exile, every league, there are, I would say, a handful of end-game farming strategies that become kind of the meta. So clearly, a lot of people are frustrated, and players get frustrated because if you don't have a top tier build, for example, that can't, let's just say tier 17s where we're a end game farming strategy, you know what I mean? Completing tier 17s, farming tier 17s for the loot and the currency. If your build can't handle that, can't complete that content, then you're not going to be able to generate as much income as everyone else. So this, I guess, is where, and that's just an example off the top of my head. But that stays true, I think, to a lot. Like last league, the 16 and a half end game farming strategies, tier 16 and a half farming strategies, not all the builds could do it. Now, I was fortunate enough that I had a build that was able to do it, and I was making a ton of currency off of it. But it just highlights the fact that a lot of people, it looks like, are complaining that there aren't enough diversity. There isn't enough diversity in the end game farming strategies. So they want to see some diversity in that. And the fact that Grinding Gear Games is going to look at it, looks like they're going to dabble in some fixes for 3.27, but the large amount of this is going to be addressed in 3.28. Excuse me. So it looks like they know this is a concern, and I think this is something that has been slowly building up over time for the reasons I mentioned earlier. So again, just another way of Grinding Gear Games demonstrating that they take the feedback from the player base seriously. And like this league was already, I think, very popular. And yes, don't get me wrong, there's always going to be people complaining about certain aspects. But I felt like this one was a very positive one with small, few, noise out there, for a lack of a better term. But again, another demonstration of how Grinding Gear Games just continues to evolve and try to make their game better. Okay, so that's a quick overview, guys. Again, everyone's busy grinding and getting their characters up, and a lot of people are like at the point now where they're farming end game strategies for currency. Again, we're early in the league, but there are people that are literally mapping on day one. And I know that's the top percent, but I just wanted to just check back in with everybody and mention how impressed I am with just how GGG continues to just look at their game, take the feedback, and make the necessary changes for the player base. And I think that's why they maintained such a long history with their player base, you know, with Path of Exile 10 plus years. This is an example of why people stick with their games. They're constantly evolving, constantly addressing issues. We can debate whether they're all being done properly. That's another story. But, you know, we look at other studios, what's going on with their games, especially in the ARPG space, where people are just scratching their heads and saying, what are, like, they just don't get it. It's a fresher breath air. They are producing two S tier games 2 months apart, live service games. That's not easy to do. And not only are they producing content every 2 months, they're continuing to evolve both games. Think about that. Like, that is some serious haul that they're doing right now, where some major AAA studios can't even make one. But as always, thanks for watching, everybody. If you can like the video, if you can add your 2 cents in the comments section, it would help churn the video with the YouTube algorithm. And if you really want to support me, hit that subscribe button. We're going to continue to pump out content. And I have to say, I started diversifying a little bit, and hopefully that doesn't hurt me. I haven't done any content on YouTube about it, but on my live streams, I am dabbling outside of my Path of Exile gameplay, which that'll, you know, I can't see that ever going away. I love POE 1. I love POE 2. Now, I just not might play it as long, but I am sprinkling in some other stuff. And right now we're playing a looter extraction game called Arc Raiders. I'm actually streaming it. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm also off stream, still playing Path of Exile 1, gearing up my characters. I have 2 characters and maps right now. And so I am doing that off stream. Just because I'm not streaming it, guys, doesn't mean I'm not playing it. I will not stop playing. I love Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 too much, but I am sprinkling in some other kind of genre type games. I hope you guys don't mind. What do you guys think about that? I would like to hear your honest opinion on that. How do you feel about me going outside of the ARPG land, the genre? Is that going to impact you guys as far as the content? I would love to hear your feedback. I'm always someone that likes to self-reflect and improve. So let me know. I would love to hear, especially you subscribers, especially from the people that are on my live streams all the time. Would love to hear from you, but I'd love to hear from all of you. But at the end of the day, please support my content, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And as always, we'll hope to see you next time. Take care, everybody. The opinions expressed in this video are mine and solely mine. Healthy debate is always encouraged. Hate is never welcomed. So get over it.